Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back once again to the HalloScream review series. So far, we've gone through the first two Halloween films, and it's been pretty exciting so far revisiting some of these classics. So, with that said, today we are approaching the turning point in this franchise. That's right, it's time to talk about Halloween 3 Season of the Witch. After the explosive finale of Halloween 2, no pun intended, the franchise was ready to move on, or at least John Carpenter was. After the first Halloween, John Carpenter went on to work on some other projects, hence why he didn't direct Halloween 2. But he did help with the writing, and so it was that Michael Myers was killed off. And since Michael was officially dead, the filmmakers wanted to take Halloween into the intended direction that it was supposed to go, which was an anthology series. It would have explored all the crazy things that could happen on Halloween night. And I'm not going to lie, this idea sounded promising. I mean, take a look at 2007's Trick or Treat, which was that very concept made into one film. All the stories in that movie were their own standalone arcs that were also connected to each other and had a central figure in Sam, a mysterious little boy slash demon, which was the embodiment of the Halloween spirit. And for a fun horror film with not much substance, it worked. Unfortunately, this is where Season of the Witch falls short for me, and possibly for many others as well. Why, you might ask? Well, early on in Halloween 3's release, and even afterwards, so many people disliked this movie for one main reason because it didn't have Michael Myers. And in all fairness, I can understand on some level why people held that viewpoint. And I somewhat share that view, but for a different reason. From a chronological standpoint, it's very obvious and understandable as to why Michael isn't in this film. I mean, he was burned to a cinder, so there's no way he could come back, right? Right? Oh. All joking aside, the real reason Michael wasn't and never would have been in this movie is because Season of the Witch does not take place in the Michael Myers universe. It's a completely separate universe and story being told here. We even see the original Halloween on TV throughout many different points in the movie. And for me, this is where Season of the Witch made its mistake. Instead of doing what Trick or Treat did with its separate stories but still taking place in the same area, Season of the Witch opted for being disconnected entirely from the Michael Myers story. And because the movie holds the 3 in Halloween 3, it makes their position much more out of place. If it's not a sequel to Halloween 2, why add on the 3? They could have easily fixed this by making a reference to what happened in Haddonfield. Something as simple as a newspaper with a headline of the Haddonfield Massacre, or a news report on TV, or my personal choice, White Masked Killer Still at Large After Haddonfield Massacre. Really, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch should be Halloween 2, and the story from Halloween 2 should be removed altogether if you wanted to have a proper anthology series. And this way, the filmmakers could leave the door open for Michael to return someday. For me, it would have been better to stick with the ending of the first film, which was the best in the entire franchise for me. Unfortunately, this didn't happen with Halloween 3, and it became a double edged sword of bad choices. Because Halloween 3 neglected the presence or proper reference to Michael, people didn't like the movie as much, which then gave way to a slew of Halloween sequels that would sink the Halloween franchise to absurd levels of bullshit. But getting the Michael Myers stuff out of the way, let's talk about the story of Season of the Witch. So the movie follows Dr. Daniel Chalice as he attempts to stop an evil corporation called Silver Shamrock from performing a mass druid sacrifice that would kill many children on Halloween night. The way they plan to do this evil deed is by having these children wear special Halloween masks equipped with what I refer to as magic enhanced technology. Basically, when the corporation sends out a mass signal across the airwaves, the masks with the chips inside will begin killing anyone wearing the mask. The signal is in the form of what must be one of the most insane jingles I've ever heard.
Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock. Happy, happy Halloween, Halloween, Halloween. Happy, happy Halloween, Silver Shamrock.
And I have to say, for an original horror story, it's not that bad. Tom Atkins is the lead, and it's fantastic to see him again. Tom also starred in The Fog and Escape from New York, two John Carpenter films I absolutely love, as you already know. And once again, he does a great job. He is also accompanied by Stacey Nelkin, who does a decent job as Ellie. They do work well together, even if their romance in the movie is a little strange, to say the least. I mean, Jesus Christ, it looks like they could be a father-daughter duo. Of course, the hero is only as good as the villain he goes against. And for me, one of the biggest strengths of this film is Connell Cochran, played by Dan O'Herlihy. Sorry if I mispronounced the name. You probably remember him from other media like the first two Robocop films and Batman the Animated Series. He's very creepy and intimidating. One of my favorite scenes is when he has Tom Atkins tied up and he explains the old Halloween traditions. The cherry on top for this scene is when the original Halloween starts playing and the music syncs up with the scene in a real nice way.
And happy Halloween.
Something interesting to point out is that some plot points in Season of the Witch eventually get used for the Michael Myers sequels. It's all about getting Halloween and its druidic practices back to how they used to be. The theme of sacrifice plays a big part in the story, and really does up the creep factor. There are many scenes in this movie that remind me of Michael Myers. You see, Silver Shamrock has created androids, and it's something reminiscent of Terminator, actually. But these guys are like silent assassins, and the way they move about and stalk people is just like how Michael Myers stalked people. And funny enough, one of the androids is played by Dick Warlock, who played as Michael Myers in Halloween 2. So it's all coming together now. And that's another positive I have about this movie. It feels like a Carpenter film, even though he didn't direct it. It has similar aesthetics and even some John Carpenter regulars. And this movie's pretty ballsy too. I mean, Jesus Christ, it shows kids being killed in grotesque fashion. The filmmakers were not fooling around, and you can feel the ominous atmosphere hovering over this film as it gets closer to Halloween night. For example, when the protagonists arrive at the town where Silver Shamrock is located, something feels off. It's like this town is gripped by some mysterious evil power. A creepy scene is when Dr. Dan and Ellie stop at a motel for the night, and one of their neighbors gets killed by one of the Silver Shamrock chips built into the masks. The scene is real gruesome with some impressive practical effects. If you haven't seen this movie yet, or if you have seen it but it's been a while, I would say give it another watch. It's not as bad as some people give it flack for. I would say just that it would have fared better if it was in the same universe as Michael Myers. And then people probably would have been more kind to it. And unlike the previous film's ending, which was a little more positive and definitive, Season of the Witch leaves off with a gloomy cliffhanger where it appears Silver Shamrock won, and that insane jingle starts playing across the nation with Tom Atkins shouting,
Off. Turn it off. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it.
Overall, Halloween 3 Season of the Witch was a decent horror film with some interesting plot points and ideas. It's not the best horror film out there, but it's certainly not that bad, especially when compared to the Silver Shamrock nightmare levels of crap we will be getting coming up in the review series. So keep a sharp lookout for what's next. And something else I will say is that the masks that we see in this movie have become popular in their own right. It's like a perfect trio of Halloween icons. We get the skeleton, the witch, and the pumpkin. We do see them again in Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, so it's nice that people are showing more appreciation for what this film tried to do. And like I said earlier, if it was still connected to the original Halloween film, it probably would have been received better. And maybe the franchise would have continued to go the anthology route. But instead, we just get the same old shite with a small dose of Season of the Witch ideas. Well, thank you all once again for tuning in. We're 3 movies in so far, and we still have a long way to go on the road to Halloween Ends. A shout out to all the amazing content creators taking part in the HalloScream review series. Please make sure to go check them out as well, alright? And a special thanks goes out to our Patreon supporters, Mother Moeller and Kyle Curtis Flett. And with that all being said, thank you all for watching, listening, and supporting. And as always, my fellow investigators, remember, the entertainment is out there. I'm Special Agent Spooky Clutter.
I'm Special Agent Carter Sauce.
Special Agent.
Happy, happy Halloween.